It's 5:15. Hey, I don't know what to talk about at the moment. I think this is going to be a two-segment. I'm going to start here and then I'm going to go ramble because I have to start doing some stuff. I'm moving as much stuff out of this tiny little apartment downstairs now that everything's renovated. It's time for me to do something about the state of this puny little space, and the way to go about that by and large is to get everything possible out of this unit. Everything. Even stuff you can't see because it's behind the camera. Or rather, the camera's sitting on the stuff. That is gone. I'm going to reduce this space to the bare minimum and get everything downstairs and then rethink my strategy up here. I've lived in this apartment for 11 years. I've had the studio, but I've never slept down there. Really. It just feels so cozy up here, and plus the acoustic is so fantastic. I mean, downstairs I've got two small rectangular rooms. They're bedrooms, so what are you going to do? There are people upstairs. There's no one downstairs. There's a garage underneath the ground floor apartment. But those rooms are small, so that's fine for small situations, but the large space, you know, the living room, dining room area, that's a large square, essentially. It's big space, but it's a square. I prefer rectangles when it comes to setting up an acoustic environment. But I don't think it's going to make much of a difference ultimately. I won't do any serious listening down there. You can hear people waking up. I trust you can hear the water running. That someone's getting ready to go to work. So I'm gradually making progress on getting the studio going. I'm reassembling the gear, so to speak, and I'm picking up some new stuff. You know, I really like this camera. I'm using a Sony NEX with its 16mm lens. It's really got to be the ultimate camera for this particular task, which is, what do you call it, vlogging, when you've really got nothing to say, but you want to say it anyhow? Well, I've rediscovered a wonderful instrument for that purpose, and I'm staring at it right now, good old Sony. Here's another Sony. This is the NEX 5N, and it's even smaller than this NEX 3 that is being used, but I consider this camera to be completely useless compared to the NEX 3. Why would anyone buy this? Or okay. Phase 2, where Johnny gets his oats. What I really wanted to talk about, though, was the fact that I seem to have fallen into a cycle of being up for 2 days straight, literally, and then sleeping maybe 5 hours and then going through the whole thing again. Now, I'm desperately trying to break that cycle. This is twice that I've endured it in a row, and if I don't manage to get to sleep tonight, that's 3 days straight, and I'm starting to enter into risky terrain, because without sleep you do hallucinate. Say I'm looking at a picture or something and I start to see movement in areas of the picture that's static. Well, that's visual hallucinations, and believe me, there's a reason for that, and it's mental exhaustion, I suppose, I would surmise. I'm not an expert, but when the brain fog settles, and mine certainly has, that's an indication to you, your brain is pretty much stretched to the limit. Do something about it. But they won't take people like me. 61-year-old guy being on the mental illness journey for so long. They really don't take you unless you insist. And if you go there alone, I'm talking about, say, going to a mental health facility. If you go alone, it's really going to be more difficult for you. It's best you take someone with you that can say, yeah, he's crazy. Because then, at least there's a third party there that's willing to stand up for you and advocate for you, because your own ability to advocate for yourself and say, I need some help. They may say, well, gee, we've got no beds. You're out of luck. So, I've been on, as I said, I've been on this merry-go-round before. I don't know, this time I seem to be getting a lot done. The transformation today, I did move 2 pieces of furniture and a large collection of electronic equipment downstairs, so it's out of here. Mercy. To summarize, and in the spirit of perhaps the subtle inferences that I've been making, one of the things you have to be wary of if you suffer from a mental illness is the actions of your other family members and how they may decide they're going to treat you because you've been given a diagnosis. It's really quite tragic. In my case, I have an older brother who is far more mentally ill than I am and takes the worst sort of medications. This guy's Looney Tunes as far as I'm concerned. And I try to distance myself from him because I view him as not someone I wanted in my life, and it's a shame. He is my brother, but a brother like that I do not need. I have 2 sisters and we get along fine, and I think we all agree that my older brother is one just a little bit shy of something upstairs. But he, of course, doesn't accept that in himself. He believes he's fine. And no one seems to be sufficiently concerned to tell him, look, just look at the way you say things. For example, my mother died back in June, and my brother wrote the eulogy, and I won't read the eulogy to you for the sake of not adding to the boredom of this YouTube video. But it was embarrassing. I mean, the obvious attraction between my mother and my brother was something that didn't escape any of my siblings were at when we were growing up. It was obvious that David, my brother, and my mother had this kind of unusual relationship, and it continued. In 2010, his wife finally said, "It's either your mother or me," and he left. He left his wife because his mother was more important to him. Now that's insane. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do anything like that for the sake of my mother. May she rest in wherever she is. I don't think it's heaven. Banana Boat David writes this eulogy, which is a matter of public record now. And if you read it, it's a really strange read, because it's obvious that he's so closely identifying himself with my deceased mother that when he's writing this eulogy, all he can do is write about himself. It's bizarre. He's a problem, and you can have this in families where you may be diagnosed with an illness, but your sibling may have escaped diagnosis and may be a real problem, and if they have any type of control over the affairs of your family, you're screwed. Until your sibling gets properly treated and properly medicated, you have got a real problem on your hands. So the message to you is, and I did mention this back in 2013, trust nobody. You can't trust anybody. Certainly not a family member who, for one reason or another, decides that they have an agenda. They're going to get it one way or the other. Well, doofus, Dave.